This is a Sony PlayStation 2 Fat. There were two basic versions of this thing, the so-called Fat and Thin. The Fats were the early ones. I purchased this from a private seller on Craigslist and took it home, and the DVD reader isn't working right. First lesson learned is don't buy things on Craigslist from people in parking lots. Insist on going to their home so you can actually see the thing working. The PlayStation 2 came on to the US market in October 2000, so it's been around a while. It was the first sixth generation machine on the market, beating the Sony Xbox and the Nintendo GameCube by about a year. This particular model, this is the second revision of this machine, the 50,000. The first one was the 30,000 series. This is the 50,000 series. One of the main differences between them is that Sony added a infrared port right here so that you could use a infrared remote control when watching DVD movies. But we have got a problem here with the DVD player. Now, the specific problem that this PlayStation 2 is having, it can read CDs. It can read games on CDs. Therefore, it can read PlayStation 1 games. This PlayStation 2 machine can play PlayStation 1 games, or it can play PlayStation 2 games that happen to be on CD. However, it cannot read games that are on DVDs. It can read audio CDs, but it cannot read movie DVDs. In other words, any media on CD it can read, any media on DVD it cannot read. Disk drive failures were very common with these machines, so much so that there was a successful class action lawsuit against Sony, which was settled in 2006 in favor of the plaintiffs. Sony was obligated to repair or replace these faulty drives at significant reduction of cost to the owners. Now, as of the making of this video, which is 12 years after that date, I don't think it's going to still apply. So we're going to have to fix it ourselves, and we will have to take this device apart. So we flip it over. We see underneath these four rubber feet. Underneath these four rubber feet, there are screws. In addition, there are four other little squares here, 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 and here. We need to pop these off to get out the screws. So now basically you just dig your fingernail underneath these or take a small flathead screwdriver and pop them out. Okay, we have removed all of those 8 little covers. Always a good idea to have some sort of a container around so you don't lose these little parts. These screws are not all the same length. These 4 screws on this side are all long screws. These 3 screws here, here, and here are all short screws. Now this screw in here is intermediate length, and it's silver instead of black. It's just something to remember when you reassemble it. We're going to go ahead and remove those screws now. And here they are, 4 long ones, 1 intermediate silver one, and 3 short ones. Okay, now with the screws removed, we can remove the top. Now, one thing to be careful of are the buttons over here. These buttons are not part of the plastic lid. They're actually internal, so if you try to yank it off, you could end up damaging those buttons. So what you want to do is actually kind of take it forward a little bit. Just be careful not to damage those buttons there. Okay, there we go. And off comes the lid. And now we have our DVD player exposed. In order to remove the top of this DVD player, there are two screws, one here and one here, that we have to remove. Now, in the earlier series, the 30,000 series, I believe that there are 4 screws, two here, and then I think there's 2 back here. But in this model, just 2 screws here and here. It's going to take a very small Phillips head screwdriver. We shall remove those now. Okay, now with those 2 screws removed, we can partially lift that lid, but there's a couple of tabs here that have to be elevated, have to be lifted up. So pull that one back. And on the other side, okay, and away we go, exposing our laser. Now, one little trick to help in troubleshooting, it turns out that this magnetic holder here that kind of holds the CD in place, this can actually be removed. There's enough room to just sort of pop that thing out if you're careful. You know, to be too, there we go. Now with this in hand, this will help us do some troubleshooting, because this way we can put our CDs in there and hold them in place so they don't go flying off on us. Now I've gone ahead and hooked us up to power and a television set, and we will flip the power switch, and our red power light comes on, and we shall hit the button. We get a green power light, and our PlayStation 2 is on at the browser window. Now I will insert a game. This is a PlayStation 2 game that comes on CD. And as we can see, the game is playing. Now we will go ahead and stop that one. We will remove the game on CD and replace it with a game on DVD. By the way, if the game is on DVD, it will tell you on the disc. Now you can see it's having some trouble. The disc sort of stutters at first. And this is what we see on the screen. Enter the browser, disk read error, and you'll get that with any media on DVD. We're going to open up the tray. Now we're going to power down the machine. We now have access to our laser, which is sitting right here. So the problem is somewhere in our laser. Our laser is enshrouded with a little black shroud here. In order to get at this, we have to remove this piece here. We can expose that laser a little bit better. Little tabs here, here, and here, sort of holding it. I'm going to insert this narrow blade screwdriver in here and try to pop off this. There we go, we got the first one popped off. And we're going to try to pop this one off, bend that tab back. There's one. And there's the other. Okay, out she goes. So you got 3 little tabs on there. And that exposes our laser. Sits right here, floats on that little head there. Now, one bit of advice you're going to get on pretty much any one of these PlayStation 2 repair discs is clean the laser. Okay, well, that's always good advice. Take us a little bottle of isopropyl alcohol, and a Q-tip. Now, be very gentle, of course, on the laser. And just to kind of gently, very gently remove any material. And I will say that when I did get it, I did find a fair amount of dust in here. Now, underneath the laser, there's another lens. I'm going to try to clean that one underneath as well gently. There's not a lot. You'll damage it if you're too rough with it. Not a lot of room to work there. Okay, so I've cleaned above and below. Now, I will tell you that I did that before. It did not make any difference. I'm just showing you that because it's probably a good first step. A lot of people have reported that that did fix their problem, but not in this case. I'm going to turn this in this direction to demonstrate. There are two adjusting wheels here and here. These adjust the height. Let me turn it this way, perhaps we can understand it a little better. There are two adjustments here and here, those two little white objects there. Those can raise or lower the height of this platform. By turning them together, you can raise or lower the entire structure. By one side, you can sort of tilt it one way or the other. There are some people who recommend attempting to adjust those. And I did try turning them a little bit, both of them a little bit either way. Now, if I turned it far enough, I could prevent the CD from reading. But I could never get the DVD. I could never find a place where the DVD would read. It's sort of complicated. You have almost an infinite combination when you consider the two of them. Before you start, I would make sure to somehow mark their position so you can get them back to where they were. It only makes sense that Sony adjusted them right to begin with. I don't know why they would be out. Now, on the 30,000 series, the first edition, there was only a single wheel right in the middle, right about here. But on the 50,000 series, there are two of them, one on either side. So if you're gonna play with them, make sure you mark where they were. Now, the next possible adjustment is the laser itself, specifically the power to the laser. There are two lasers inside of this device. Now, there's one laser for the CD, and it operates at 780 nanometers, which is beyond the range of human sight. We can see between 400 and 700 nanometers. So at 780, it would be considered near infrared. The DVD, on the other hand, is 650 nanometers, and you can see it as a deep red color. So that one is visible. But there are two lasers in there, and possibly the DVD laser is failing. It is possible to adjust the power to the laser. In order to do that, we're going to have to remove it. Now, in order to remove the laser, we have to start by removing this metal brace right here. I don't know how well this can be seen, but there's a metal tab that that's sort of caught underneath this plastic. If we pull it forward, one side and then the other, and that tab comes off. That kind of frees up these little rails here. Now, with those rails free, we can pull out this rail right here. Okay. Now our laser comes free. Okay. Now, on the underside of the laser, there are two potentiometers here and here. This one is for the CD and this one is for the DVD. Now, you can adjust the resistance in these potentiometers. You can adjust it down by turning it clockwise. Now, this potentiometer measured 1,550 ohms. Now that we have our laser removed and turned upside down, Let's kind of zoom in a little bit here. We can see those potentiometers a little better. Now this potentiometer controls the power to the CD, and this one controls it to the DVD. And you can measure the resistance between this point and this point. Okay, we just dropped those probes across there, and currently it's measuring 1,250. Now, it was at 1,550. That's where it started. I've turned it down to 1,250, and I attempted to read DVDs again. It still did not work. As you turn down the resistance, you're increasing the power to the laser. If you turn it down too far, you're just going to burn out the laser. I've read in other places you shouldn't go below 850 ohms. Well, I'm going to stop it here at 1250. I'm not going to go any lower. I'm convinced that that laser is not functioning. Now, the PlayStation 2 was the most popular game console ever made. They manufactured over 155 million of these. And as such, there is a readily available supply of parts even now, 18 years after it first came out. And so I ordered another laser. Okay, now the part number on this laser is KHS 400C. KHS 400C. And I'm just going to go ahead and remove the old one, put on the new one, and hope for the best. Now we can remove this cable very carefully now. This cable's got little tabs on it. Kind of pry these two little black tabs out a little bit. Okay, with those back, I can now go ahead and slide that cable out. Here we have the old laser and the new laser. Now, as you see, the new laser doesn't come with this little sidearm. We're going to have to remove that. This little small 00 Phillips head. One screw takes it off. Transfer it to the other one. Okay. Okay. Old sidearm put on the new laser. Now we will insert the new laser. Got to pull these little black tabs back down again. Take our cable, slide it in like so, and just close on those little okay. Pushing the new one on is a little harder, I guess, because it's, the new cable needs to get broken in, I suppose. Okay, but anyway, we got it on. Turn it over so, okay, this first side catches this rail, and we slide in the second rail into its little slot here. Okay. Take this little metal hold down device and just sort of snap it into place. Here and here. Okay, very good. With the new laser in, we will give it another try. Okay, with our cables reconnected, our power switch on, we put a DVD in the tray. We're going to go ahead and see what we get. And it spun up normally. None of that stuttering. It just went ahead and spun right up. Okay, let's see what happens on screen. Let's see if we get the game to play. Aha! Very good sign. And there it is, folks. The game is playing. The game has started. Terrific. So that was it. It was the laser. The new laser has brought our PlayStation 2 back to life. It's alive! It's alive!
It's alive! Oh, that fellow at Radio Shack said I was mad. Well, who's mad now?
And just for completeness sake, we'll just go ahead and put it all back together again. We'll reinsert this guy. Remember which way it goes, okay? This part faces downward, okay, like so. We'll just carefully pop it back into place. And again, we'll put this guy on, line up these little clips here and here, and then just our two little screws here and here. Very little tiny screws here. Be careful, don't drop them, don't lose them. These little holes are right there. And we just put the top back on. Again, careful not to damage those buttons. Okay. And then just flip her over. And we will reinsert those 8 screws. And looking at the bottom, and this is the back, remember, these 4 are long, these 3 are short, and this was where the silver medium length one goes right there. Now with all the screws in place, we go ahead and put the caps back over them. The 4 rubberized caps go here in the corners. And then the 4 plastic caps. Okay, and that's it. Okay, we were successful in repairing this PlayStation 2 by replacing the laser. So in summary, this machine is known for having problems with the laser. It has a high failure rate. If we have a problem in which we can read CDs but not read DVDs, very good chance that it is the laser. In retrospect, if I were to do this again, I probably would clean the lens just because it's such a simple thing to do. However, I do not think that I would adjust the height of the CD tray, and I do not think that I would try to adjust the voltage to the DVD. Fiddling around like that, I think you're more likely to get into trouble, maybe break something permanently. The laser is so inexpensive and it's so easy to replace, and it has such a high failure rate. I think I would, after cleaning the lens, I think I would just go ahead and order a laser and replace it. Well, if you had the same problem I had, I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching.